All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flows like a harpoon, daily or nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn out the lights and I'll know.
To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal, light up a stage and jump like a candle. Dance, go rush a speaker that kill your brain like poisonous mushroom, deadly. When I hear a melody, anything less than the best is a felony.
Love it or leave it, you better gain weight, you better fit bullshit, you don't play.
And if there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
where summer is here.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm wondering if Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse didn't ghostwrite season 8.
So let's talk about some stuff.
All right. Hey,
we've done this 200 times, or we're about to.
We've done it 199 and counting as we are speaking.
That's pretty good.
So right now we're at about 199.03.
We will not be counting that down through the whole show.
Oh, you won't?
No.
I will. I'm going to chime in every minute going, it's been another minute.
Yeah. We've been doing this a while, and thanks for everybody who does listen, and for all you people who don't listen, you can't hear this, so
we can say anything about you that we want.
Yeah, how dare you?
That guy in Hackensack that doesn't listen, fuck that guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, let's talk about some stuff.
I've got stuff that I want to talk about at the top.
Okay.
A couple of shows that I am very late to coming to.
Okay.
But I cannot recommend highly enough.
All right, bring it on.
The first one is Barry.
I saw the. I kept seeing
with Bill Hader.
Bill Hader and Henry Winkler.
Yeah. And let me tell you, it's an interesting concept. In a nutshell, guy gets out of the army and becomes a hitman for hire.
Mm-hmm.
And him and his associate, which is Stephen Root, who plays every good character role in every show. Like, every show I love, like, oh my God, he's
literally one of my favorite actors.
He's at least in one episode of everything.
If you don't know the name Stephen Root, and you have seen Office Space, he's Milton with the
also, he was also on News Radio.
That's where
everybody knows him.
He was
from.
Jimmy James, which was one of literally the greatest characters in a sitcom ever written.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion,
the way he messed with everybody,
just
I loved
how
it.
geniusly he was written and the way he performed it.
He's in Man in the High Tower.
Yeah.
He is the Man in the High Tower in Man in the High Tower.
He's in all the Coen Brothers movies. He was
Right.
the blind record producer in Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
You know, he's
So
in
the-
just
so
everything.
the-
You've seen him.
The gentleman has been around.
Yes.
And you think with all the stuff he's done, he should be like, 90 and barely. No, he's kicking around, doing some of the best work of his career. So basically, Barry is about a hitman who has an epiphany and decides he doesn't want to do murders no more. He wants to be an actor.
Right.
When he stumbles into an acting class and just gets swept up into it because they think he's auditing or he's a new student or whatever. And it just, he sees a girl that he likes and he's very, I don't want to say antisocial, but socially awkward.
Right. I'm assuming,
because, you murder all the time, in the army, then you come out and you murder. It's just, and the way it's done, I'd say it's about 20% comedy, 80% drama. So and let me tell you, I just finished the season that just wrapped up, season 2.
Mm-hmm.
It contains one of the most insane episodes of television you will ever see.
That's what I keep hearing.
There is one episode where you're like, what? Okay, what? And you think it's like, it couldn't get any crazier. And then it does. Like, insane level of crazy. And it just keeps getting crazier the whole freaking episode.
I think that show is going to be one of the things that makes me keep HBO for a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was
and the great thing about it is that it had Game of Thrones as its lead-in for the last season.
Right.
Because of,
Yep.
It was well, actually, for 6 of the 8 episodes that because Game of Thrones was only 6 Barry seasons, there are 8 episodes apiece.
Oh, okay, so that's not even that
No,
bad.
and they're half-hour shows.
Oh, so it's quick.
It does not dilly-dally.
Okay.
We don't have a whole episode at Winterfell just talking shit before the
Yeah,
dead
we'll
arrive.
get to all that.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Anyway, cannot recommend it highly enough. Bill Hader, he's come a long freaking way from Stefan and doing an absolute perfect Vincent Price on SNL.
And Alan Alda.
Weirdest
impressions you could think of. Like, even he said, I saw an interview with Bill Hader, and he said, like, he was going, he was in the wings. They're, setting up in commercial right before he's going to do a new impression on a show, on an episode, live. And he said he's in the wings with Lorne Michaels. And he's about to step out on the stage, and Lorne goes, Alan Alda, really? And he's like, oh my God, what am I doing? He had to go out and do that, like, in front of Lorne Michaels, who was like, really? Lorne, really? You're going to do this now?
You've been doing this for, off and on, more on than off for, 40 years now?
At least, yeah, more.
If it's a live show, you don't go, really? You think you want to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on now? Dude!
Yeah, why now?
Who the fuck does that? There's a reason why hangers-on and bullshit are not supposed to be backstage.
Yes.
You don't get in people's headspace before they're supposed to go on. Anyway, so that is just an insanely good show.
Okay.
It is, it's every bit as funny as it is absolutely heartbreaking, devastating, vicious in places.
Okay.
It runs it's kind of Breaking Badish in that it runs a gamut. You get a little bit of comedy, you get a little
Yeah,
oh
you
my
need that
God.
release when
Yeah,
you're-
it's it's not a flat line of comedy and it's over. It's I wouldn't classify it really as a comedy, although
But it's,
it probably is.
with Bill Hader and Henry Winkler, it's going to be funny.
Yeah, but they're not playing it for laughs.
No. But there's going to be.
They're comedic actors doing dramatic parts.
Which
Although,
always.
oh, it's always better.
It's always better.
Comedians can do drama far better than dramatic actors can do comedy. In my experience, as a generalization,
Yes.
obviously there are people that can do
Absolutely.
both.
But
if you've got that, there's something about being able to do comedy.
Robin Williams, look at it.
Exactly. Anyway, the other show is one that not a lot of people have heard of. It's called Letterkenny. One word, Letterkenny.
Okay.
It's a Canadian sitcom about basically hicks, Canadian rural folk
Okay.
in a Canadian town called Letterkenny. And each episode
I
opens...
think this is the one my dad was telling me about.
It
He's
could-
like, you've got to see this. It was one of those things. He texted me. He was like, watch this. Trust me. And I haven't gotten to it yet.
Every episode opens with, there are 5,000 people in Letterkenny. These are their problems.
Okay.
And then I can't even describe it. It is so insane, but there are so many in-jokes, so
Okay.
many repeat. It's like a really awesome sketch from Kids in the Hall that just keeps going and growing and multiplying.
Excellent.
And there's like 90 new catchphrases out of that I'm incorporating. I am nothing. I am like 1% original. The rest of my personality
all of it. Yeah, we
is,
both are.
is an amalgam of all the, sketch comedy and movies and music, and it just, I could put them all together in a big nasty pot, and that nasty pot is me. That nasty pot is me. So Letterkenny, funny. Apparently it's on Hulu.
Okay. I have
And
that. I can watch that.
I would highly recommend. And the great thing about it is their seasons, 6 episodes, half hour apiece. You could knock out a full season in one medium to long night.
Interesting.
And I did.
Okay.
So thank you, Andrew Sweeney, for that hat tip, because
That's not the one. Then that's not the one. The one my dad was like, "Oh, it's on Amazon Prime." So I have to look and see what I had.
it may be on Amazon Prime too. I
Okay.
don't know. I mean,
Okay.
It's not an Amazon show. It's a Canadian produced
Right.
thing.
It sounds like a thing he would recommend though to me. So
Right.
I will check.
It is. It is,
Okay.
It is just great. It is just great. Just understand, hockey is very big in Canada.
Oh yes, it's hockey, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I dated a girl in Canada. You wouldn't know her.
Yeah, you would know.
And let me tell you, if I ever said anything even neutral about the Leafs, she would kick my ass.
Oh, yeah. They do not mess around. They're the politest people on the planet, but you do not mess with hockey.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, I've been listening to Rush for 35 years. I mean, I know Canada. I know hockey.
If
Neil Peart redid the theme Hockey Night in Canada for the last, I don't know, 10 years. Like, he recorded it, and so that's how Canadian it is.
Oh, God, that reminds me of a joke that's in the show. I'm not going to say it.
Okay, because we haven't seen it.
But they're making they make fun of Alanis Morissette.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
Anyway. But now that we've had our, our aperitif, our appetizers,
Yep.
Now it's time to get to the meat, the main course, Season 8.
Season 8.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What I like to call, basically, Lord of the Rings with tits. Although not in this season, thankfully. Except for Arya. Kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff in this season.
Once you get introduced to somebody and they're at that age, your mentalness kind of locks them in there.
She's 8 years old.
Right, exactly. So it's like I can see, not being a parent myself, but I can see, you kind of, a parent might lock their child in, oh, you're still my little baby. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, you're married with kids. And, just that. But aside from that one errant side boob, this is a very non-naked.
Yeah, it wasn't about that.
Wasn't about that. So, but I still call Game of Thrones on the whole, Lord of the Rings with boobs.
Yeah.
And instead of the ring, we get the throne.
Yes.
Everyone's looking for the questing, going after the throne.
And that was the big, I don't want to say selling point, but that was the big, for lack of a better term, end game of the whole thing. Who is going to end up on the Iron Throne?
Yep.
And what happened?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I called what was going to happen. I didn't know the exact details, but I called. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, we're going to talk about it.
You did not call the person who eventually.
No.
Okay. No. Spoilers. I mean, at this point, dude, dudette.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the Game of Thrones finale,
you're in the wrong place.
Wow. You must not be on the internets at all.
Well, we at my work, we actually, everyone there. One of the reasons I finally broke down and started watching it was because everyone there was talking about it every time it was on, and so we would get into a lot of discussions on theory and like what was going to happen. And I literally said, they've got a dragon. I don't think there will be an Iron Throne at the end. I think they take it out, but I thought it was going to be in a much more cheesy John and Danny come together and wipe out the throne, and we're going to start anew, and we're not going to have, and because that would be tropey enough to.
So you were like 10% right, but 90% no.
Yeah.
Like the physical throne, yeah.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, I really had a feeling that the throne itself was going to go.
So let's just go right to the finale, because that's basically what we're here
right.
to
We
talk
kind of
about.
talked about a lot of the season already.
This season, the other 7 seasons, no. We may circle back, but at this point, I'm fucking exhausted with the whole Game of Thrones thing. I mean, you know what? In about 2 or 3 years, when I rewatch it, then I'll be fired up again, and we can talk a bit more about this, that, and whatever.
Before you tear it apart, let me give you my take on the whole thing. Okay. The ending, the finale.
Okay.
I was actually pretty much okay with the outcomes of what happened. I thought it was serviceable enough, and it was good, and some of it was interesting.
Yeah.
I thought we needed at least a full season to do that.
Yes.
It was all like they just gave up, it seemed like.
Well, and they spent an entire episode kind of chumming around.
Almost
and
2
talking.
episodes. The one after the Battle of the Long Night was also pretty like, okay, well, we're
talky.
gonna...
Well, yeah, but that needed that was the Brian and Jamie hookup episode.
Yeah.
And we knew, I mean, the tension between those two had been thick for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they let some things breathe, but the narrative whole. I mean, but what else would they have done? Maybe not have the dragon destroy King's Landing. God damn it!
Yeah.
I mean, but of course,
We had to get the whole Mad Queen.
the Targaryen blood kicked in.
Yeah, which again, that was all fine. It just seemed like it was just too fast to wrap up in 2 episodes, and then wrap up that in the beginning of the last episode.
Yeah.
You know, I was, you know, they failed their Chekhov a lot because there was a lot of things they showed that didn't come to fruition. You know,
From the whole series.
from the whole series,
That
you know, a
didn't
lot
pay
of
off.
stuff the
Cersei prophecy.
The Cersei prophecy, the prince that was promised, but that was more in the books, and that was more stuff we read of. Like the Arya, the face swap, that could have been, that should have been used.
I honestly thought that when Jaime showed up there, I was like, all right, here it is. Arya's found it, got the Jaime face on.
Yep.
Jaime, embrace, and knife.
Yeah.
And then I saw, oh, no, he's really hurt. Like, oh, okay, it is him.
Yeah.
It's him who just had one of the weirdest, most stilted, not satisfying fights.
Yeah.
And he got pierced a number of times.
Right.
It's not...
And Euron Greyjoy turned out to be a cartoon villain.
Yeah.
And just annoying, and not, like, I didn't see the point of him at all, to be honest. Like, and why Cersei started sleeping with him... That made no sense.
Well,
to me.
keep in mind that Jaime had gone north, and she had no idea he was coming back.
But still,
She was thinking of herself, and she needed cover because the baby that was going to be born, she had to have a,
Yeah.
Who's the father?
Was there actually a baby? Do we ever find?
Well, I mean, was there a pregnancy?
That's what I mean. Yes.
Theoretically, although if you look at the timeline, she should have been like way showing, if not having given birth by the time. You know.
That was one of the other things people complained about, which I get the complaint, but I also get the storytelling because, it should. They said King's Landing and Winterfell were 1,000 miles apart in the first season, so they get there real quick. You know.
Yeah. The Hound and Arya just kind of take a nice leisurely stroll for 1,000
Well, even
miles.
getting thousands of Dothraki and Unsullied all the way down there.
Yeah, and armies, they need to eat and shit.
And horses and
horses, so
water.
Exactly, it takes a lot to keep an army fed and stuff like that. So, but we don't need to see every last little thing explained.
No, and I get that. I get the momentum, the storytelling.
I really liked when Arya went to the Undying Lands at the. Oh, I mean, she sailed to west. She sailed to the west.
Yeah.
At the end, and people are speculating. Ooh, maybe there'll be a sequel, or what does she find? And the HBO shut it down. No.
Yeah, they said no spin-offs.
Nothing. No, there will be 2, maybe 3 spin-offs, but not. They will be all prequels.
Yeah. They will not be the continuation.
There will be no continuation of anything, because they are already basically treading water narrative-wise, because George R.R. Martin has taken 8 years to write. And, hey, I haven't read the book, so I'm not waiting for this next one.
No.
I know a lot of people are very upset it's taking so long, but, he works as he works.
I still think he got to a point and realized, let's let them fuck the ending up, and then I'll come in like the hero and write the right ending that everybody wants.
Well, he basically he road tested the ending. He set up a trial balloon like, huh? You guys like that? No. Okay, maybe we won't do that.
Yeah.
But thing is that he is in his early 70s.
Yeah.
And if he takes 10 years per book, I think we are definitely going to get the penultimate book, but I think it's A Dream of Spring is supposed to be the last one.
I believe so, yeah.
I don't think we're going to get that.
I don't know. I always liken it to Stephen King with The Dark Tower, because he was, he was taking his sweet time. He was like, yeah, I write one every couple of years. I'll get around to it. And then boom, got hit by a minivan and said, oh shit, I'm not immortal. I could die. Let me finish these books. And he did. And, that was, they've been finished now for, I don't know, 20 years.
And apparently they're still going forward with the series. And, if they do that,
just ignore that movie.
The Dark Tower at any point can be done correctly.
Yeah.
It hasn't been so far, so they're apparently going to do, The Shining properly. They did it properly so far.
So far.
It's possible. Apparently there's a renaissance now of Stephen King properties being made or more often remade and being done better.
We're getting into, and we are in an age where that stuff matters again. That people, like studios, aren't just buying properties and handing them off to some director who's never heard of it and they decide to make a thing. Like they're actually...
Well, that's the old studio system.
Right, and we're in the age of, I would credit Marvel with some of that, and Lord of the Rings really is where it all started. It's like, oh, if we do this right to the way the people who like it, appreciate it and make it accurate to the source material, it'll be popular. It'll be successful.
Well, a lot of these,
they don't care if it's good. It's
a lot of these
money.
Properties were first read by people who are now making films.
Yeah,
they read them in their childhood.
Exactly.
I would be perfect for that because I read all that shit in junior high.
Your J.J. Abramses and your all the people making movies like that grew up on this stuff. So,
and the big news, sidebar, Your Honor, Stephen King book that's being done. They're doing Eyes of the Dragon.
I heard that, yeah.
And I'm like, I love it's so un-Stephen King.
Yeah,
but it's so good.
Yeah.
It is really good.
It connects up to everything because it's not a spoiler, the Randall flag or flag is in the book. It's a cool story.
Which brings me to the property that I personally, if I were so in the position to bring it to the screen, I would do The Talisman.
I have not read The Talisman. That's one of the few ones I've not read. There's a sequel to that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it's
because it was
I can't remember
Stephen King and
Black something.
Yeah, it was Stephen King and Peter
Black House.
Yes, I think it does. And it was Peter Straub and Stephen King?
It was Straub and
Stephen King. Know that has ties to the Dark, because I read all the Dark Tower.
There is a Stephen King freaking universe.
Yes. Well, if
Castle Rock kind of is touching upon that, but it's not as overtly going through everything.
That's what I liked about the Dark Tower was I got 3/4 of the way through and I realized, oh, this is the linchpin. This is why his entire universe is fucked up. It's because of what's going on in the Dark Tower. It resonates out into all the dimensions because they go into in one part of the Dark Tower, they open up one of the door portals and they're in the land of the Stand. There's people dying and so yes, there is. He did the interconnected universe way before anybody else.
I don't know what the game plan is, but if somebody takes the reins with King and tries to Feige that shit. Just kind of keep them. I don't want to say, make necessarily Iron Man type things where all of a sudden, Jack Torrance meets it. Nothing like that. But someone who says, here's the Stephen King universe. We're going to give them all the same quality. We're going to give them the same weight. We're going to put some effort into this and do them correctly. Yeah. I have not seen the new Pet Sematary, but it could not possibly be any worse than the original.
I did not see it, and I have not seen the original, but I did not hear good things about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've heard a little bit about the new one, and I went, nah, it's not that great. Which, I don't know.
Did you see the trailer for the second part of it yet?
Is it out?
Yes. Yes. And we're back. We just paused and watched the trailer for it because Michael hadn't seen it yet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's messed up.
It really sets the Yeah.
it shows a good chunk of a scene of Beverly going back to her apartment. And there's a nice, sweet little old lady there who lives there, and it starts to get all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah. Well, that's the nature of it.
Oh yeah.
I am definitely pumped for that. That's a C opening weekend mandatory.
Yep, we will definitely hit that.
I think the first chapter 1 I saw in the theater at least twice. I think maybe
We saw it on that Saturday,
Right.
Because we did see it together.
But I also went and saw it with Daniel.
Oh, okay.
So I think it was twice, and then of course I have the Blu-ray because you know you gotta.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm so pumped now. I may actually watch that tonight just to, satisfy my it craving.
Yeah, I think it's still sitting on HBO at the moment, so I wanted to watch it again before this one came out.
Yep.
But it looks good. I really enjoyed that as a movie, and it was a good adaptation. But like you had just said before we started recording again, I haven't read that book in
a long time,
30 years.
Yeah,
but I remember
I read it when I was 2, so I don't understand it the same way that I would understand.
We're 200
it
episodes in. Nobody buys it anymore. But no, I really enjoyed that book a lot.
Yeah.
When I read it, and I don't know,
when I read it,
early 20s.
I was the same age as the kids.
Oh, see, I was older than that.
I was 13, 14 maybe when I read that book.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done well reading that book at that age.
Oh, I read so much Stephen King in junior high that my English teacher forbade me from turning in any more book reports on Stephen King novels. Because they had the thing, you read more books, you get extra credit.
Yeah.
And man, I was going to read those damn books anyway. Writing a little report afterwards was no problem.
Yep.
And after like 10 in a row, he's like, no, you got to read something else. Here, read The Right Stuff. The astronaut.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And I was like, no, there's more Stephen King. So I'll just stop turning in extra credit book reports and continue reading my Stephen King.
Yeah, I've still got a few King books I haven't read, like a couple of the classics I haven't read.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't read Carrie, but I have a
Flex.
I have a compilation that has
Yes.
Carrie, Salem's Lot, Christine, and Cujo.
Yeah.
And
I had that too. They did a nice hardbound edition of like the first 4 Stephen King novels at one point, and I think I still have that in my collection. But I was such a Stephen King fanatic in junior high that I actually spent my hard-earned money to buy the hardback editions. And in some cases, they had to be ordered from the bookstore because they didn't carry them.
Oh.
So, back then, spending, $22 for a book was insane.
Yeah.
But I was like, nope, don't care. And then stupidly, because that's the way I was, I took the dust jackets and cut the cover and did like a shrine to Stephen King amongst all my heavy metal stuff. And I don't know if I've ever posted pictures of my room, but my goal was to cover every square inch of my room with something. And I had a row of shuttered shutters over windows across my room faced the street. And I went, I need ventilation. Okay. And I took off the shutters on one end and then put posters over all the other ones, and then took lighting gels and taped them to the one window open, so I had a stained glass window that I could open for ventilation. But the rest of the side was, 2/3 of it was covered with, like, I think a Boston poster or the Monkees or Prince or something like that. My parents were not amused.
I had a wall with a lot of heavy metal pictures on the wall and stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
but did you go so far as to...
No, I didn't.
Now,
Whatever it was. I know you. No, I never didn't go as far.
Did ceiling in your childhood bedroom or bedrooms have that acoustic kind of fluff on it?
No.
No. Mine did, which posed a unique problem because I had to put something on my ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did is I got a staple gun with 1-inch staples that would go all the way through the acoustic stuff and hit the substrate underneath. And I stapled up posters And then because there were gaps in between, I found mirror paper. So I had a mirrored ceiling but then that wasn't even enough. Then I got Christmas lights and crisscrossed them and framed the posters on the ceiling in Christmas lights. So it was...
I can't believe any of this true as I gesture to this room
Yeah,
that we're in, which is covered with... Now all the posters are just framed nicely.
They're framed tastefully. Basically, look at the side of the filing cabinet there.
Yeah.
That is what my entire room looked like.
Yeah,
As
it's
a matter
just
of-
covered. There's no filing cabinet to be seen. It's
Yeah.
just posters and pictures and...
Little postcard. Actually, the St. Elmo's fire thing in the upper left corner there, that's original from my bedroom.
Of course it
as
is.
well as the Phantom of the Opera hype sticker.
Yeah.
And the Pretty in Pink. See? You keep things and...
There you go. Yeah.
Good times. Good times. Anyway,
Anyway,
what were we talking about? Game of Thrones.
we were talking about Game of Thrones. and we
yeah.
veered away from it for a while.
I thought it was kind of cheeky of them in the last episode as Arya's walking through the... No, I think it was Tyrion walking through the streets.
Yes.
And, people are sitting crying. And you could see around the corner half of a burned out sign that just said Bucks. And I went, really, guys? Well, King's Landing Starbucks. I said, well, let's get it into...
No, this one was Poland Spring.
Yes, exactly. After all that, they found not one, but two water
water
bottles in that. Now, of course, when the DVDs come out, and of course, at this point forward, they'll digitally remove it so that,
By the time I had watched the episode a couple days past when it aired. No, that's not true. This was the Starbucks one, and it was still there like a day past because I remember I had watched it.
They have to get somebody to actually
Yeah.
digitally get it. It's not like they can just do a clone feature. They have to go in there and, it's a bit of an art.
There was a lot of what I was calling senioritis, where on it's spring of senior year and they were
Right.
getting ready to graduate, and that's kind of what it felt like a lot of this season. Like they at the end of the long night at the end of Battle of Winterfell, they were just like, all right, and we're done. We blew our wad there.
Yeah, let's rest. Like, no, let's march to King's Landing. What?
Yeah,
No.
and wrap it up in 2 episodes.
Yeah. Because literally, I thought what was going to happen was that things were going to be going on, and the Battle of the Dead would be the penultimate episode, and then the fallout would be the last one.
Yeah.
Because I thought that the Dead would just go over Winterfell,
I
and
thought
the
they
main action would happen at King's Landing.
Yeah, I thought exactly. I thought they would have to retreat all the way down Westeros to King's Landing, and it wasn't going to be wrapped up in one battle at the Godswood.
So
it was cool. That moment was amazing.
And technically, we thought, oh, we're going to get 2 battles. No, you got 1 and a 10th battle.
Yeah,
I mean, because basically it was, dragon, woof, 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 and maybe a couple of stabs here and there, and it's like, oh, I guess it's over. And then all of a sudden, the bells ring, everyone's standing around, they drop their swords, and like, no, we're going to slaughter them anyway.
Yeah. And again, I didn't have a problem with that. It made sense. Like, she was going to do this the whole time. Like, she had been talked out of burning King's Landing to the ground about 3 times. And I was like, okay, I get it. At first I was like, what is she doing? And then I was like, yeah, she's been saying she's going to do this the whole time. Tyrion's little speech at the end about you killed all those men, but they were slavers. They were evil, so it's okay. And then you burned all the Khals, and they were evil, and that's okay. But what's the difference? And he's right.
Yeah.
It just seems so rushed.
And once again, Tyrion's conversation with Jon before he goes, to the throne room, pretty much set it in motion. He made the case. I was wrong. I betrayed Varys, and I regret that. And you know what? You need to do the right thing here.
Yeah, somebody said at work, they're like, yeah, well, Varys was right. I was like, fuck that. Robert Baratheon was right in season 1 when he was like, yeah, this is not going to end well. And we should kill this little kid before she takes over and burns King's Landing to the ground.
Easy there. The Baratheons have a habit of killing kids. Stannis.
Well, yeah, he got some bad info, but I mean,
Yeah. Funny thing though, in the last episode, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Whatever his name is, was taught to read. He was illiterate.
oh, Davos. So
That's
Davos,
it.
yeah.
So Davos was illiterate, was taught to read
Yep.
by Baratheon's kid that eventually died. And I can't remember who he was speaking to, but he actually corrected someone's English.
He did, their
at the
grammar,
end.
yeah.
And I was just like,
See, there was real nice little touches there.
And my favorite part of all on that, the after, Drogon flies off with carcass in tow, was bringing back for a third time the Jackass and the Honeycomb joke.
Yes.
It's basically a blonde walks, with a pool on and a 2-foot salami, and you never get to hear the end of it.
Yep.
And we still don't know the end of it. Although,
I believe it's in the books.
is it? I don't know.
I saw someone online obviously had posted a joke or what that they claimed that joke was, and I don't know if they had just finished it themselves.
Have you read it?
I did read it. I don't remember what it was. Yeah. And they so I don't know if that is actually in the books or not.
And maybe
But that was a nice little
touch. And him Tyrion spending 30 seconds arranging the goddamn chairs.
Yeah.
Which is a throwback to the power moves of that. Yeah, so.
Like I said, there was nice little moments.
Little callbacks.
I
mean, I'm not putting them on the level of, Lindelof and
No,
Hughes.
it wasn't lost at all. It was just.
You know what it really is? There's no possibility for it to be as good as you want it to be, because
I agree.
It's impossible when something has been that good for so long and it's nearing its end. It's tough to make people happy.
I agree that it couldn't be as good as we wanted it to be, but it could have been as good as it had been.
Yes.
That's the difference.
I think the difference would have been made with a little bit of restructuring and another 2 episodes.
Yeah. Do the full 10 and
do 8.
Well, okay, yeah.
Because it's 6. I mean,
Yeah.
coming back for just 6 episodes. When I heard that, I was like, they're going to wrap this whole thing up in 6 episodes? They just crossed the wall. The dead are coming. How are they going to... Okay.
I mean, there was probably, since the episodes were longer, maybe closer to 7 episodes total time-wise, but still, yeah.
I mean, the long night, I think, was like 80 minutes.
Yeah, if not more. And so was the finale. So was the Bells, or whatever. No, the Iron Throne is the last episode.
Bells was the penultimate.
Yep. So it was fine. We just wish it was more than fine.
A lot of people's grousing about it, mine included, is like, I just wanted more.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, HBO doesn't have, maybe they do have the money, but they're not going to commit another $200 million, because those episodes were running, the long night easily topped 80 to 100 million to do that episode.
Yeah.
I mean, just in the special effects and just the scope of it, the extras. I mean, they shot that thing. I think I read that they shot that thing for 3 months.
Yes. 3 months of night shoots. They said everyone was going crazy.
And they said it was the longest battle scene ever filmed. And part of me goes, well, yeah, but it was broken up. I mean, the whole episode was essentially the battle, but it's not like swords clash and it's just sword fighting for 75 minutes.
It still wasn't Helm's Deep.
No.
From Lord of the Rings.
No, they didn't go Helm's Deep.
I believe tonight is the wrap up documentary special. Like, it's called The Last Watch, and it's like behind the scenes of the final season or something.
Speaking of which, why the fuck is there a watch anymore?
Yeah, right?
I mean, I guess the first job is to, I don't know, build the wall back up to keep what out?
Right.
What are you watching
piss
for?
off the wildlings who just helped you fight a bunch of zombies
And
that aren't there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I like how the series ended as it began, north of the wall.
Yep.
Heading out in. Remember in that very first episode, White Walker goes down. And nice.
I think, and what I did like was the way they kind of trolled everybody with the whole ghost thing. Where John just sent him away and he didn't get to pet him goodbye, and they were like, well, we couldn't do it because of CG and money and this and that, and they knew at that point, they're reunited and he will pet him and it will be great. And I was like, they kind of stuck it to the asshole fans for that, so that was kind of nice.
Personally, I think the spinoff should be Ghost and Drogon.
Yeah.
Kinda hanging out doing their thing. That would be interesting.
Yep.
Who knew that dragons had such a powerful understanding of metaphor
And politics.
Wow. I mean, they kind of did that. All right, I see that she's dead. You're standing there. Here comes the fire. You can see it coming. And last second, turn the head.
Yeah, there's a lot of really funny memes. It was like,
oh yeah. Pointy thing, kill her. Look, a bunch of pointy things. Kill the pointy things. I'm like, you know what? There's a certain logic.
There
to
is
that.
a certain logic to that.
Make the pointy things go away.
There was a lot of explanations that have been floated around. Like, they had a psychic link because of her being, Targaryen. And
right. Well, you notice that as soon as the stab happened, you hear in the background.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's not like Drogon would just happen to be cruising by.
So,
like, hey, what's up?
the symbolism of the throne was in his head for his whole life. So, there's ways to justify it.
Right. And who's to say that, Drogon isn't every bit as smart as a human? We don't know the psychology of dragons.
Of those, at least.
They know, they know things.
Yeah.
So just thinking that there's just a dumb dog or
right, not at all.
Because first of all, dogs aren't dumb.
Right.
Right. Cats are dumb. Dumb cat doesn't do anything I wanted to do.
Wow, alienate the cat people. Why don't you?
And did you notice that to Brienne, when she was, writing, in the was it the Night's Watch book? I can't
Kingsguard book.
Kingsguard, that's it. Yeah. She had a new crest on.
She did, yes.
The three-eyed raven. Mm-hmm. What do we think about Bran as king? I think it's fine.
It's fine.
Although, Sam, proposing democracy.
Yeah, it got a little sitcom-y at the end there, but it was still all right. I was happy my man Bronn made it all the way through and he got his castle.
Yeah. There are theories out there that he knew all along this is where it was going and he'd let all these people die and all this stuff just so he could get the throne. And I'm like, well, there's one thing in knowing what happens. It's another thing to intercede in events.
Yeah, knowing that it's going to happen doesn't mean he can alter that. He just has to wait. He was waiting it out.
No, he can alter it if he wishes. I mean, the knife that killed the Night King, that passed, through him. Take it. It's up to you. It's always up to you.
Yeah.
Should we tell him? I leave the choice to you. He's like, nope, I am not going to intercede.
Yeah.
So that's the way that he saw how things played out and knew that if he just didn't intercede anywhere,
this is where it was going to all go.
Actively, although giving the knife that killed the Night King, that's who knows.
Well, yeah, that's affecting the outcome, but he needed to do that.
Right. So I'm sure there's a lot more going on with him than.
Yeah, and that was one of the other things. It was like we knew they just left a bunch of stuff on the table. We knew that he could go into the past and alter things, and they could have, with the Hodor thing, but they could have used that in some sort of way to the whole knife could have been brought or something. I don't know. They just left a bunch of stuff on the table.
Yeah, and stuff that could have been wrapped up in, say, I don't know, another episode
or 2
or 3. Yeah. But that's the thing. You love it. You're like, why couldn't they do like 13? Some shows do 13. Let's do 13. You know, and before you know it, it's like, let's do a 9th season. I mean, there's other stuff happening, and at a certain point, you go, no, this is what it is.
Yeah, you gotta right. All these
there is
lunatics.
This, and then there is other stuff. This is not that.
Well, all these lunatics who are like starting petitions, like, well, they have to remake it. And it's
fuck off to those people.
It's just nonsense.
I mean, if you're not happy with it, stop watching. Or if it's the finale, then don't buy.
Yeah,
the
you're
DVDs.
allowed to not like it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not allowed to complain and demand that they make you like it.
Right. And at the same time, I mean, I can't remember the two gentlemen's names.
Yeah, Benoff and I forget how you
Something.
say that. Yeah.
But, you know, this is their vision. They executed their vision. You don't have to like it.
Right.
You know, I have problems with some of it, but at the same time, it's like you're putting your own input into somebody else's art. You don't go up, for lack of a better, you know, metaphor, you don't go up to, you know, Rembrandt and say, no, use that color there and don't do that there.
Right.
No, they're the ones doing the art. The thing that the rejoinder that comes back from a lot of people, and I rejoin in on that, is go make your own Dragon fucking series.
Yeah, absolutely. They did an amazing thing. They created an amazing piece.
And hopefully they will do better, in my opinion, for the Star Wars trilogy.
Made me nervous for a little bit. Watching that finale, I was like, oh, guys, fellas.
we know that they will be under the keen eye of Kathleen Kennedy and the people there. So it's not like, I don't know how much HBO or George R.R. Martin or whatever reined them in any way.
Who knows?
But,
yeah, probably not. They may have been like, it's been so great. Do it. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people said. Their skills at adaptation were brilliant.
But when they ran out of original material...
Yeah, it got a little tropey.
Well, because at that point, I think they ran out of the books in the middle of season 4, I want to say, with certain things tendriling out into 5.
Yeah.
After that, they were being given plot points by Martin, but nothing to backfill it. Just here are the guideposts.
Yeah,
you know,
this is what will
Here's
happen.
mile marker 10, 14, 32, you know... Whatever else happens, I don't have it for you.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you can ask me and maybe I'll come up with something on the fly. So they were very good at adaptation, but not that great on, for lack of improvisation.
Yeah.
You know, for lack of a better term.
So we will see what they do with Star Wars.
Well, we got a ways to wait.
We got a ways to wait.
We got about 3 years.
We got about 3 years, which is good. Again, like I said, I'm all for that. I don't need a new Star Wars movie every single year. It takes away from it for me.
But you know what they're going to do? The original, the plan before had been an episode, a spinoff, an episode, a spinoff. You know what they're alternating it with now?
No.
Disney is alternating Star Wars with Avatar.
Ugh.
So, because basically they want to own December forever. But the thing is that, man, I just don't see how the Avatar... I mean, maybe I'm stupid because when Avatar came out, it was such a huge hype. I watched it and went, it's a fine film. I've never seen it again. I've not rented it. I don't own the DVD. You know, I just don't care, and that's just me. And you said, you know, none of the cons have blue tail motherfuckers.
There is almost zero cultural penetration. None of the fans. There aren't, you know, discussions or arguments or groups or cosplays or, you know, fan fiction or anything.
Right.
No one cares.
Right.
Like, no one cared. It was fine, but it's not a thing. You know, people will argue Firefly and argue Star Wars and Star Trek every day forever. No one cared about Avatar, and it made a lot of money, and it did really well. It was an interesting movie, and the technology was amazing.
And no longer number one.
Did
Endgame finally crossed it.
Good.
It was at was it 2.8? Was it
something?
Was it 1.8? 2.8?
No,
I can't remember.
It was definitely over 2.
It was the 2. It was 2.8.
Yeah.
And then Endgame has eclipsed it now.
Yeah.
So. Oh, poor Disney. Now they don't have the first Oh yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah,
do
they
have
do,
the
yeah,
first and the second.
I don't see warranting, again, we've said this a million times, I don't see warranting 5 more Avatar movies. I just don't get it.
Well, you know what? I will go see it in the theater when Avatar comes out because it's visually beautiful. And James Cameron, keep in mind, this is James fucking Cameron. So maybe he will come up with something compelling where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But based on the first Avatar film, I have a huge meh. Meh.
Yeah, but again, I'm trying to be better about not prejudging things anyway.
Right. But you have to own your own enthusiasm level. You know, if your enthusiasm for Endgame is at a 10,
Yeah.
and your Avatar is at a 1, you know, you can't help that.
Right, and
it's
it's
not
but
judging.
it's his job to make me.
It's
his job to make it a
It's
good
Cameron's
movie.
job. It's Disney's job. Make me want to see this film.
Now here's why I bring up I'm not going to prejudge things, because there was an announcement.
Oh boy, what are we not prejudging? I'm getting ready to judge it.
Oh, I'm sure you have and will. I am not going to judge the performance of Robert Pattinson as Batman if that's still not 100% confirmed, but that's the rumor that's floating around. I'm not going to judge it because
Heath Ledger.
Yep. And Ben Affleck. And as bad as those movies were, I enjoyed Affleck's performance. I thought he was good and got kind of a raw deal, as did George Clooney.
Well,
as did George Clooney in the worst movie ever made. He would have been a great Batman if they would have made a good fucking movie. He would have been a great Bruce Wayne. But I was like, okay. My knee-jerk reaction is, why would they? No, I'm not going to do that because I was so wrong about Heath Ledger. Let's see what they do.
Boy, were we wrong about Heath Ledger. Holy shit, were we wrong.
Let's see. You know, again, Robert Pattinson in some those freaking Twilight movies, but that wasn't him. That's not his. He was just an actor in those movies. Let's see what Matt Reeves can pull together for this Batman movie.
I'm like, okay, if, you know, like I said, I kept my mind open for Jared Leto's Joker, and that.
Right, but at least we went in. I was excited about that too. I was like, "This guy's what a great choice," and then it just turned into what it was, and it was fine. It's funny. I recently rewatched Suicide Squad because I have it on my iPad, and I watched the extended cut, and it is not terrible. It's an okay movie, and I really enjoy. I think Will Smith is good. I think Margot Robbie is amazing in that movie. She's perfect. And
she is.
Well, and yes, she's nice to look at, but her Harley is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's not an awful movie, but it's not a good movie. You know what I mean?
A lot of times you go in with expectations that are unrealistic.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I'm
not saying you. I'm saying people.
Yeah.
People go in with going into the last episode of Game of Thrones. Oh my gosh, it's going to be the most. It was okay.
Yeah.
But meeting people's mental expectations, you can't do that as any kind of creative person, as a writer, as a director. You have to do the best thing. You have to, if you're doing, fan service for properties that existed before, you came on board, do your fan service, do your due diligence, but you do the best you can. And sometimes it's going to suck. Other times you're going to get the Dark Knight and you're going to go, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only Batman film that I have seen multiple times because it's just so good.
Yeah.
It's just so well done top to bottom.
Yeah. For sure.
So, you know what? He could be fine. I don't know.
I'm gonna reserve judgment.
Yeah. Hey, when they announced that Will Smith was going to play Muhammad Ali in a biopic, I went, that skinny little kid? There's no possible. And then he did it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Jamie
whoa.
Foxx is Ray Charles.
Well, I knew he could do it because he'd done impressions of what the hell's his name? Ray Charles.
Yeah.
Sorry. On In Living Color.
Oh, had he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I he's got the. Have you seen his latest impression?
I don't know. Oh, yes. That we do need to talk about that.
All right, we'll talk about it. Apparently on ABC, Norman Lear selected two complementary scripts from All in the Family and The Jeffersons to be redone with new actors, obviously, in front of a live audience.
Yep.
And it was interesting. It was, I found it very interesting that apparently in 1972-5, you could say the N-word on TV
Twice.
Over the course of the 2 episodes, 4 times.
Is it? Was it 4? Okay.
Yeah. And
you can't now.
yeah. Now, a case could be made, for back then, it wasn't, but it was in the wake of the civil rights. It was like what, less than 5 years old.
Yeah.
And they were still using that. And
Well,
not
if you watch
bleeping it.
the very famous Richard Pryor Chevy Chase sketch,
Oh yeah.
he says it.
Dead honky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you could still say it.
And in the case of making a point and stuff, I don't know. It's not like that word should.
It's
You know what? I'm not even going to touch it.
Yeah,
I mean, Norman Lear wrote that script in service of a higher ideal.
yes,
And I get that.
to
and
show how bad that
exactly
was.
And I understand that. The compromise they made, they didn't change the script. They just bleeped it when that was said. And I went, you know what? Okay.
Fair.
Because
They didn't alter it. They didn't.
right, because what was said, so the point was still being made.
Yes.
Because your brain filled it in, but you didn't have to hear
But
the
it was
word.
still primetime ABC, owned by Disney. Blah blah blah.
Right, that word
That's
was
fine.
that word was never going to get.
No. Now,
gonna
did you watch
happen.
the episodes?
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah.
I watched them both. And did you?
I did.
Okay. How freaked out and happy were you in the Jeffersons episode when the door opened and it was Marla fucking Gibbs?
I had it spoiled for me, but that's amazing.
I just wow.
Yeah, what a
Wow.
And it
And
was
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell was ridiculous. Well, I kept watching the like the promos for it, and kept seeing the cast list, and I was like, oh, Wanda Sykes is going to be Florence.
See, that's what I thought too.
I think everybody thought that because there is no, Wheezy Jefferson.
Well, she was Wheezy Jefferson.
Yeah, I expected her to be Florence, the maid.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so
because of that whole sassy, but
yeah,
because-
she would have been perfect for that.
But you know what? This was the episode where that character was introduced.
Yeah.
So that sassiness with back and forth with George hadn't
and
happened
having
yet.
her as Louise was amazing. She was perfect. I think the casting was really good.
You know what? I was really impressed with Marissa Tomei.
Because she wasn't really doing an impression. She was kind of doing an
homage, a channeling.
I
Same
think
with Woody Harrelson.
he was a little too hard. He was trying a little too hard. But again, like we saw the musical School of Rock last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, the guy playing the lead in this show is screwed no matter what he does. If he does a Jack Black impression, people are going to be like, why is he doing a Jack Black impression? And if he doesn't do a Jack Black impression, people are like,
Why isn't he doing Jack
so
Black?
you're kind of that's a bad shot. So he did a good impression.
That's
of
the thing. If you're going to go that route, do it well.
Yeah.
And I think the best impression of all of them was probably Jamie Foxx's George.
Probably.
But I did not like him breaking character when he flubbed his line and doing an ad lib. Like, dude,
You just wrecked it. Yeah.
dude, that really pissed me off.
Right.
Because it made it the Jamie Foxx show for that section. Like, no, you're there for
we're not doing this because it's live. We're doing this because of we're doing this episode, and they never would have done that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sherman Hemsley would have never done that.
Yeah.
He never. And it's funny because like when the episodes and the characters are first start, everybody is trying real hard, and once they settled into it, it got really good. Once when he stopped peacocking and trying to do too much of a Sherman Hemsley impression, like he settled in and he was just playing that character. And it was really good.
Because George didn't walk around with that
all the
with
time,
that dancy strut all the time, because that would make him like a caricature.
Right. He did it in the opening, and that's kind of where that happened, where that came from.
Yeah.
You know, and having Jennifer Hudson.
Now, I was just about to go there.
Inspired, yeah.
She nailed the theme
Yeah.
song. I mean, nailed it.
Yep.
So I'm thinking ABC apparently saw the ratings and went, okay,
They rebroadcast it.
yeah,
They showed it again.
We're gonna do more of these. Good times.
Yeah.
John Amos is still alive, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Well, of course, he was written out of the script. He was written out.
Yes.
He was written out of the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think Florence. I can't remember the woman who played Florence, but she's gone.
Yes. Yes.
Jimmy Walker's still around.
He's still around.
You know. And remember, was it that show? Yeah, Janet Jackson was on.
She
Good
was
Times.
Penny. Yeah, she was the little girl.
Yeah, so Penny could, show up. Boy, that would bring the freaking house down if Penny showed up on Good Times.
Or just cast her as Walona or something,
Yeah.
as the neighbor.
Well, yeah, I guess they wouldn't. If they're doing the original scripts, they wouldn't bring in Janet Jackson to do Penny because
No, of
it
course
has to be
not.
a girl's script. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
mean, Marla Gibbs was a bit old to be.
she's 88.
Right, but still, that was perfect.
But the fact that she did it, I was just like,
well,
you
her
know.
and Jack Kay did 227 for so many years. I mean, it was just a phone call, probably.
Oh man.
I'm on board. Do this like once a year.
Yeah, don't beat this into the ground.
Take a break from the fucking live musicals.
But here's
that
the
are.
thing: Norman Lear is 95.
Yeah.
If you're going to do more Norman Lear, and I think it makes sense to do it.
Yeah, don't just do random TV shows. We
Yeah.
don't need Mork and Mindy and
Although part of me goes, that would be fun.
It would
but then
be
again,
fun.
it's like, yeah, but who the fuck could fill Robin Williams' shoes?
I mean, somebody could
You
probably
know,
do it all right.
yeah.
But I mean,
But it's an interesting concept. Norman Lear's 95. If you're going to do more of these, maybe bank them and dole them out judiciously. But, Norman Lear is still around.
yeah, still writing. He's
Norman
still-
Lear almost got Harlan, or wanted Harlan, didn't actually try to get him, wanted Harlan to do a talk show back, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s, and talked with him about it, well, we're going to be talking about issues and this and that, and what do you think of the Israel situation? And Harlan told him, and he goes, nope, there will be no talk show for you.
Oof,
You
not
know.
surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, anyone who's listened to the On the Road with Ellison series, available now from Deepshire Records, knows that, Harlan was obviously Jewish, but culturally, not religiously.
Yes.
So he looked at the Israel situation with the Palestinians and everything with a.
I'm sure he had an opinion.
He had
let's
an
say.
opinion. Let's put it this way: he was going to be honored in Israel with a tour or something like that. And someone did a pre-interview to try to get interest up, and they asked him about the Jewish and Palestinian situation. He goes, no. He demurred and said, no. I'm not a politician. I'm just a scientist. But surely you have an opinion. No, you don't want my opinion. It's not informed. Just leave. Let me do my thing. And finally got it out of him. And he goes, thank you very much. Click, and within 2 hours, the whole thing was canceled.
Yeah.
Because don't want to hear differing opinions.
No.
We miss you, Harlan. So yeah, ABC can hey, maybe bring back and do a classic episode of Manimal.
That was a real show, kids.
Is there an episode of Manimal that's classic?
There was rumors that
I know they were
Will
doing
Ferrell
Will Ferrell
and Adam McKay were doing that,
doing a
Or
film.
doing a film version of that. Which
And you know what? That could be fun. What Will Ferrell did with Land of the Lost was an abomination. and he should-
supposedly the Holmes and Watson thing that him.
Oh,
and
that
John-
thing tanked so badly.
People were walking out.
Yeah.
They said it was so awful.
They said it was
So-
literally like the worst thing they'd ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't even make back its advertising budget, let
right,
alone
and
its
it
production
couldn't
budget.
have cost a lot, but I mean, more. I mean,
more than probably 10 to 15 million. I mean, these days,
which is still kind of nothing in Hollywood
Well,
for a Will Ferrell movie.
Well,
but-
for a Will Ferrell movie.
Yep.
Yeah, so, he's funny, but let's keep it, I mean, I don't blame Will Ferrell. I don't think he wrote the script. I think he just was on board as an actor for that thing. But what they did with Land of the Lost was just, it was horrible.
Yeah.
They had a great concept that could have been a slightly comical, but mostly kind of a drama, sci-fi, adventure thing. And they just turned it into stupid shit.
Yeah.
I
don't think I've ever even watched
They turned it into Jumanji 2, which, by the way, was a fun film. I hadn't seen the first one, so
You never saw Jumanji?
I never did.
Really?
I never did.
I haven't seen the second one.
I still haven't.
The new one. But
I watched the second one because Karen Gillan wearing what she wears. No. It seemed like
I've heard it's great.
The promos made it seem like a fun film, and it is. It's fun.
Yep.
It's a fun film. Not everything has to be this weighty thing with gravitas.
No, just make a
sometimes
funny
you want to
movie.
watch a stupid fun film for 2 hours, and that's what Jumanji 2 was.
Yep.
Then again, if you're watching a Batman film, Joel Schumacher, you want something different than just 2 hours of frothy, stupid bat nipple bullshit.
Yes.
I mean, you did St. Elmo's Fire. What happened, man? You were at the pinnacle.
Well, do that. Don't do a superhero movie.
Exactly. If you're directing Chekhov on Broadway and then you suddenly join in on the reboot of the Twilight franchise, it's like, okay.
Well, again, like we said at the beginning of the show, now the people, it's not that system anymore where they just hired him, here, make this Batman movie, and not knowing anything about Batman. Now it's the people making.
Sometimes the people that are in Hollywood that reach the point goes, I want to revive this thing, and they bring it to the studio and get interest going. Like, okay, we can do that. So we'll see. I mean, with the superhero stuff, that gets rebooted every 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah,
More of the DC stuff than the Marvel. I mean, Marvel,
Well, Marvel had a plan and knew what they were doing and did it right.
I mean, with Spider-Man coming in at the end, kind of skirting the edges and a few missteps.
Yeah, and that
with
we've still got
Hulk.
a Spider-Man movie in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, which are they going to, I don't know how they're going to do it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, are they going to reference any events of Endgame?
You haven't seen the second trailer then?
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, literally they put the trailer out, and when they put it out, it was, I don't know, a week or so after Endgame had come out, and
oh, that's right. There was
Tom Holland popped up and goes, "Hey, if you haven't seen Endgame, don't watch this because we have." And from what I understand, they tacked it on the end of Endgame in like the third weekend as like a post-credit scene, so you watch it and it's after Endgame.
Okay.
And like it starts with, I mean, we can throw it on in a minute here. It starts with pictures of Iron Man and tributes and flowers and everything, and he's like, oh, I miss him, so they go right into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And who knows who's going to be the new Iron Man, or will there be a new Iron Man?
I don't think so.
If
Not for a while.
Retire that, because I mean, let's face it. It's a fucking suit, man. I mean, Tony Stark was a genius who created it, but I mean, anyone can get in the suit and learn how to use it. So it's not like when he was punching Thanos, it was Tony Stark's
powers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So there can be another,
and there have been.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a new Captain America.
There is. Oh, I'm so excited.
And wake up, Republicans. Captain America is black.
Yes.
So suck on it. Speaking of reboots, getting back to Stephen King.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've already. Well, not reboots necessarily, but reimaginings or actually bringing Stephen King properties to screen. I mean, we've seen them being done correctly with it, at least part one.
Yep.
Shawshank, freaking masterpiece.
Perfect. Yeah.
Shining. Inspired by The Stand rather than a straight adaptation, but the
Stand By Me,
absolutely.
Green Mile,
to a lesser degree, but still absolutely top notch. Basically, the same people that did Shawshank,
more or less. Yeah.
So and that definitely had
Darabont,
its. I still feel, Mr. Coffee.
Mr. Coffee. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's just. But the one Stephen King project that would be almost impossible to film, but you probably could do it with today's technology. I would like to see a movie done of
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard and Fine. So after 200 episodes, does this make us bicentennial?
Yes, Dan.
Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, stream on Spotify, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ!
Audio Primate.